Okay, this video, of course, is on chessboard orientation. We're going to look at files, the ranks. We need to have a white square to our right as we set up the board. We'll look at how the pieces are set up, as far as which side of the board white is on, which side of the board black is on. And then we're going to look at identification of particular squares very briefly. So first of all, this is the way we set up the chessboard, but we're not going to get in real deep into where the pieces go just yet. What I want to point out first of all is that to our right there is a light square. So some people say white to the right, or light to the right would probably be more appropriate. Depending on your chessboard, it may not actually be white, it's just the lighter color goes to the right. So whoever's playing black would be on the other side here, and they would also have a white square to their right. I don't know why that rook came with me. So yes, white to the right is the first thing. So you know, if you set up your board with your pawns all going, that rook came with me too. If your pawns were all on this side, if white's pawns were all on this side, and black's pawns were all on the other side, then of course you would have a dark square to your right, and that messes up the position of the pieces in the middle of the board. King and queen end up being on opposite sides. So yes, we want to have that white square to our right. First of all, we have a way of defining the vertical columns. These vertical columns, you see this one has the letter A at the bottom of it, and then there's this next column here with the letter B at the bottom of it. So these vertical columns are what we call files. So this is the C file here, and then we go over one more, and this is the D file. So these vertical columns are referred to as files. And then if you look over here, we have this number here, number 1, 2, 3. And that is for these horizontal rows, the horizontal rows. And in chess, we call these horizontal rows ranks. So this king is now going across the second rank. Up here, we have the third rank, and it's a horizontal row. So we have the files as these vertical columns. This is the A file. Then I move over and go down the B file, then up the C file. So that's how we identify them. First rank going across this way, second rank going across, I go up another one, and now I'm moving across the third rank, and then I'm going across the fourth rank. And this is really important in chess that you understand this. It's just part of the language, and that's how that's a way for us to talk about the chessboard without always being able to point. Using these two things then, my king is on the G file, but he's on the third rank. So we say he's on G3. And it's important also, just being concise, we say the letter, so we talk about the file they're on first before we mention the number that they're on. So it's always G3, not 3G. We're not talking about a cell phone service, okay? It's G3. If I put it over here, it's on E5. We're on the E file on the fifth rank. The king is on E5. Continuing on board orientation, we've talked about the vertical columns being the files, the horizontal numbered ones being the ranks. So the files are described with letters, and we use lowercase letters to describe them if we're writing them down. So vertical columns are files, described with letters. Horizontal rows are called ranks, and they're described with numbers. We're talking about a particular location, like I move this pawn to, this is E4. E4. There we talk about the letter, then the number. Now also important as we talk about the coordinate system is that white is set up on the first and second rank. Now if you're just playing a casual game with another student that you're not going to record, it's not a big deal. But in general, if we're talking about the game, we need to have white set up on the first and second rank, and black is always set up on the 7th and 8th rank. This enables us to duplicate games, so a recorded game could be played over and over again, as long as we're consistent about where we place our pieces to start the game. White must go in the first and second rank. You've got to have a light square to your right. If we adhere to this standard, then, like I said, we can duplicate the game. So white to the right. Queen's going to be on her own color. We're going to get into that later on. But, you know, if it wasn't a white square to the right, it'd mess up the center of the board. So that ends up being an issue. White to the right, ranks, files. Okay. So this ends our video on board orientation.